Welcome to Breath by Breath. My name is Michael Brown. Appreciate you all for showing up to practice. I hope we're not in the middle, but we're in the first couple of weeks of the 30 days of challenge. So I hope you all are partaking in that, whether it be yoga, meditation, getting outdoors, whatever it might be. Hope you guys are enjoying that. So this month's theme is celebrate community, right? So I like to think of as we come together in this way, we are a community, this virtual community. So I have a quote for you. I usually have a quote in a poem or something like that. So I've got a quote. It says, every community, there's work to be done. In every nation, there are wounds to heal. In every heart, there is the power to do it. And that's by Marianne Williamson. I discovered that today. So let's begin this practice, this meditation practice with a reflection. So settling in together into your space. Your eyes can be open, closed. If they're open, you might want to downcast them in front of you. And that's fine. So feeling into the eyes, feeling behind the eyes. Yeah. Allowing them to soften. And I'll begin this practice with the reflection. And it comes from a book by Henry Shukman. He is a Zen teacher out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Okay. And this is his latest book. It's called Original Love. And this is an excerpt from that. And this excerpt are part of a chapter it's called Set Aside. And it goes like this. Sometimes it seems hard to meditate in the midst of the stain of life's activities. Daily meditation is being like the multi-faith chapels that many airports have. So often we have a hard time. We go out of the way to stop in these chapels when changing planes. And he says, I love exploring spaces that have been set aside from normal daily activity. So set aside used to be a term in British culture or agriculture. It referred to certain fields that a farmer had set aside, which would not be farmed at all. These fields might be plowland or meadow, but they wouldn't be touched. They would lie for years without being touched. So these little airport chapels that he talks about are set aside as quiet havens in mid-journey where you can interrupt the headlong rush to a new destination. You can say to yourself, yes, I have time. Yes, rather than browsing for a snack, I will feed myself another way. I will give myself the sustenance of time set aside. Mid-rush, and behold, lo and behold, I can do this. I would find it a distinct pleasure to leave the glossy zones of the airport full of commerce and haste and suddenly be in a quiet place, a place of quiet. Sometimes I sit on a chair. At other times, if I had my inflatable cushion with me, I'd pull it out of my bag, blow it up, and deposit myself on the floor in an out-of-the-way spot with my shoes off and meditate. And that's how meditation typically will always be for many of us. Right in the middle of the stream of life, we exact ourselves for 20 or 30 minutes and sit quietly to one side of the stream. We allow the world to pursue its rush, such as the bustle of the airport just outside the chapel doors, while we rest in the great lake of quiet that was always here, set aside, just behind the world as we usually see it, waiting for us to notice it. So settling into this meditation practice, right? Becoming aware of your body, resting in the space, being aware of the space that you're in, right? The space that this body is occupying, is filling. So we allow this body to settle into this space. And we might briefly scan through the body and notice any areas of tightness or tension and invite them to relax. Invite these areas to soften and relax. We may bring our awareness to our feet, and if they're touching the floor or wherever they might be, we allow ourselves to be with the feet and notice them. If it's at the floor, noticing the floor with its expression of the earth, supporting the feet. If you happen to be on a cushion or a chair, couch or bed, wherever you happen to be, noticing that support that it's giving to this body. So allow your support to rise up to support you, and we allow this body to sink in and be supported. If there's an area of the back that's being supported, we allow our awareness to be with us. Perhaps the head or the neck, the back of the head is being supported. We allow our awareness to be with us. And we simply notice this body sitting here, breathing. All on its own. And our goal, if any, it's not really a goal, but awareness for this practice is to simply be aware. Next, we shift our attention, we shift our mindfulness, our loving awareness to the breath. Directly with the breath. Whether it be at the nostrils, the rising and falling of the chest, or the belly. Simply being aware of where the breath is most alive or most noticeable to you. So be with the breath. Of course, many times the mind will like to get involved and make the breath something else, bigger, stronger, deeper. But this practice is simply to allow the breath to be as it is. If the breath is short for you, we allow it to be short. If it's shallow or long, deep, We simply allow it to be as it is. As we move in closer to the breath, this life force, we see if we can notice the beginning of the breath, the inhale, breath reaches its peak, and the exhale begins. So see if you can be with the beginning, middle, and end of each breath. Of course, if the mind takes you away from the breath into planning or remembering, fantasizing, that's fine. We simply notice this without judging ourselves, and we return to this breath, this moment. Each breath is unique and of itself. Our practice is to allow this, be with this, receive this. You may even notice that the breath has a sound or not. And our next part of this practice is to allow the breath, our anchor, our home base, to move into the background. And we allow sound to come into the front, to come into our awareness. So mindfulness of sound. You may begin with the sounds that are up close or nearest to you. Next, we become aware of sounds that are at a distance. And next, in this practice, we notice that there are sounds that are perhaps coming from outside. And the next part of this practice is to notice how the mind feels about sound. Are there sounds that the mind likes? Are there sounds that are happening that the mind dislikes? Or perhaps some sounds or all sounds are neutral to you. So we simply note this in this practice together. Next, we allow sound to move into the background. And we allow our awareness of the body to come into the foreground. So we notice this body sitting here, perhaps in a chair, on a cushion. We notice the body. Awareness of this body. Next, we begin to scan through this body. We allow our attention to flow through the body, and we begin at the feet. We allow our attention to land at the feet, the right foot, the left foot. Perhaps noticing the weight of the feet, or the feet making contact, perhaps with the floor, or in resting in space. Noticing if there are any sensations at the feet, perhaps tingling, numbness, something else. Allowing our attention to be at the tops of the feet, the bottoms of the feet, the balls of the feet, all the way back to the heels. And then allowing your attention to move forward and move out through the toes, little toes, big toes, toes in between. And we move up into the ankles, being aware of sensations here or lack of sensations. That counts in this practice. Moving up into the lower legs now. Shins in the front, calves in the back. It's allowing our attention to rest there. The mind happens to wander off, that's fine. It's not a problem. We simply come back to the lower legs. Moving up into the knees now, the right knee, left knee. Being aware of any sensations that are alive in your experience, that are arising in your experience. And simply allowing them to be there. Next, we move into the thighs, the right thigh and the left thigh. These powerful muscles that allow us to move throughout our day if we have them. Next, leaving the thighs, we move into the pelvic region, an area between from the left hip, just under the belly button to the right hip. Simply feeling into this area, breathing into this area, allowing this area of the body to be. Leaving the pelvic region now, moving up into the belly, abdominal area. And here we notice if there's a holding on, if the belly is, there's a softness, a hardness, something else in your experience. Perhaps you're aware of the rising and falling of the belly as you breathe in and out, expanding, contracting. Moving up into the heart space now, the upper torso or the chest. Here too, perhaps being aware of the expanding and contracting of the chest. The breath is alive in the chest. Notice it. Leaving the upper torso, now we move up into the neck. Noticing if there's tightness or softness at the neck. And then moving out into the shoulders. At the top of the back, the shoulder blades. Scanning this body mindfully, moving down into the middle of the back, middle of the spine. Aware of sensations here and moving into the lower back, the base of the spine. And perhaps there is pain. If there is, perhaps looking to see if the pain is changing, staying the same, or something else. And again, allowing it to be. Leaving the lower back, now we move into the upper arms. Perhaps the upper arms are touching the side of the torso or not. moving into the elbows, the right elbow, the left elbow, out into the forearms, into the wrists, the bony wrists, allowing your awareness to land at the top of the hands, just behind the knuckles, that thin skinned area, and flowing out into the fingers and thumbs, all the way out to the tips. And being aware of any sensations here or lack of sensations. And then allowing awareness to land in the palms. And here you may find moisture, warmth, coolness, something else in your experience. Notice. Perhaps, perhaps allowing your attention to be with the whole length of both arms and the weight of both arms, if you have them. Next, we move up into the jawline, into the chin, to the lips, the lips touching, partially open. Some moisture or warmth at the lips. Moving into the cheeks and the cheekbones. To the nose, right up close at the nostrils. Is there an awareness of the breath there or not? Leaving the nose moving up into the eyes, being aware if the eyelids are closed, touching, or open. There's a softness at the eyes. There's a softness at the pupils or not. Leaving the eyes moving into the temples. Up into the forehead. Flowing up into the scalp, allowing your attention to rest at the scalp. Simply taking this time to breathe. Being aware of this body. Being aware of the sensations that we scanned through and noted. And as this practice comes to an end, when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, reconnect with the world, with this group. and I look forward to connecting with you next time. And someone asked about the quote. The person that wrote it is Marianne Williamson. And I thank you for your time, for your attention. And I hope you're enjoying the 30-day challenge.